Hey buddies, Puggy here, coming at you with another Borderlands 3 video. Today I'm going to be showing you an amazing shield that a lot of people play off as not being very good. I just want to talk about how the rise of shields like the Revolter and the Infernal Wish has slowly created the community to see less diversity in our shield slots. And even before that, in the meta, we had staples like the Old God. In Borderlands 3, the bottom of the barrel of those are usually Nova Shields. Nova Shields are never seen used in the game usually. I can't think of a single build I've seen recently that has even used Nova Shields, but I was actually able to create a build that allows you to deal 525 million damage per Nova proc, and I'm going to show you that real quick. But first I want to talk about the person who inspired me to even do this. His name is SentencedtoBurn. He is an amazing YouTuber. He has been on the Borderlands community for a very, very long time, and he's made these amazing replicas I'll be showing on the screen here of the Borderlands 3 vending machines, and they just look incredible. He is truly dedicated to his craft. He spent so much time obviously creating this because it moves exactly how it is in the game. It's just incredible. It's like the best replica, and I don't think I've ever seen a content creator even try anything similar to something like this. So it's very, very cool to see this mad lad create the Borderlands vending machine replica. I would assume in his garage. It's really, really cool. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You have no idea how much it helps me out, and let's get into it. So as said before, Nova Shields in general are usually really, really bad in the game, and a lot of people don't use them because generally they don't deal a lot of damage. After creating this build that is able to deal 550 million damage per proc with the Nova, I wanted to try to create this series called Meme or Meta. Now what Meme and Meta is going to be is we're going to be looking at specific items in the game and deciding whether or not they're actually meme items or they actually have a place in the meta. And I do feel like this shield has a good place in the game, but we'll decide whether or not it's actually meme or meta by the end of this video. So originally SentencedtoBurn experimented with the torch shield, and he was able to cap at like 8 million damage per orb hit. And that's pretty good, you know, that's pretty good. But after he handed me his save file and I experimented, the torch shield doesn't actually deal that much damage. It only does 10 million damage cap, what I could find. And I'll show you real quick here. What we're running is a Zane build that's all about a bunch of action skill cooldown and splash damage. And we're using Mantis Cannon to activate our torch shield here with action skill start. So every time we activate our Mantis Cannon, you'll see all the orbs flying around. Now it's really, really cool and pretty to look at, but the damage itself isn't incredible, like I'll show you right here. So I'm going to proc it, and the Nova Ball did 731 with Guardian Angel multiplier and splash damage anointment on my Guardian Angel as well. Now you can crit with those orbs, so you could do it from maximum length and hit a crit real quick here. Now that did 6 million damage, that's pretty good, but I know that we can get so much more if we were to switch to the Nova Berner. Now the Nova Berner is considered the most powerful Nova Shield in the game. Generally it does the most amount of damage per Nova proc than any other shield, and the damage itself is pretty good, like I'll show you right here. It does 1 million damage per action skill start. That's pretty decent, So to increase the damage as much as possible, we want to be running as many things that are going to boost our splash damage as much as possible. Unfortunately, with Zane, there's nothing in the skill tree that allows you to increase your splash damage. And there's also nothing in the skill tree that increases your general damage besides your gun damage. So there's nothing in the skill tree that is going to allow us to go past the 1 million damage. Because of that, our skill tree looks really, really funky. The main tree here is the green tree. We got 5 points in adrenaline to increase our action skill cooldown rate up to maximum. And we got 5 points in the brain freeze. That's important. I'll explain a little bit later. But the other important thing here is Calm, Cool, Collected, because every time we freeze an enemy, it allows us to instantly regen 1 Mantis Cannon charge, and that's very useful if we're using a build that is all about dealing the most amount of damage with Novas. So we have that. And then the rest of the skill trees here are all dedicated to get action skill cooldown. Like all of this stuff is like not optimal things you see on a Zane build usually. I originally thought that Violent Momentum would increase our damage, but it only does increase our gun damage, so the skill tree doesn't actually affect our damage too much, so we're just using it for action skill cooldown. Now the main thing that increases our damage by the most is going to be the Anointment. Action skill and splash damage is increased by 125%. Now this was nerfed. Before nerf, this was 200% for a short time, so it's really quite possible we could have got to almost 700 million per Nova proc, but nevertheless, let's not talk about the past. The Guardian Angel also allows us to increase our weapon damage by distance. Now, the interesting thing here with the Guardian Angel is that since we're using a Nova Shield, we can't be too far away from the enemy. Like, I believe max distance multiplier is right here, and we can't hit them with the Nova Shield from this distance. We gotta stand right here, and look. Did a little bit of damage right there. To allow us to eliminate a little bit of that factor, we are running secondary stats on our class mod that increases our splash damage radius, and the class mod we're using is a Hustler. Now the Hustler allows us to get occasional hits when we body shot someone. This is very useful for cool, calm, and collected, because every time we were to freeze someone with the 5 stacks of brain freeze that we put into our skill tree, we instantly get 1 charge of Mantis Cannon, so that's why we're running a Hustler. There's no other class mods that benefits this build because we can't get increased damage with any class mod to increase our Nova damage, so the Hustler just allows us to get our action skill back, and then we have action skill cooldown rate and splash damage to allow us to do this build even better. And then we're also running an Elemental Projector Victory Rush with 2 rolls of incendiary damage and 55% of area of effect damage. Now if this area of effect damage was on the second roll, it would increase our splash damage as well. That's a little hidden effect on artifacts, but I did not get it on the second or third roll, so unfortunately we don't get that increased radius, so our weapon damage increase is only capped at like perhaps half or like less than that. But the funny thing about the Guardian Angel is that when you do have it equipped, even if you're pretty close to the enemy, when we're not hitting the Jack clone, normally the Novas do 34 million damage while using just a regular splash damage anointment without using the Guardian Angel. When it's like kind of close, like this distance, it would deal 34 million. But as soon as I equip the Guardian Angel and still the same distance, it would go up to 100 million damage. Let me go see if I can show you instead of just telling it to you guys. Okay, so here's a good enemy. So I'm going to activate it and bam, 36 damage. Like I said, I did say 34 million, but hey, it's still pretty close. So I'm going to activate action skill end real quick with splash, and here's some enemies. I'm going to activate it. And did you see that? 109 million, 180 million, stuff like that. Boom, like that. That was only 70. I believe behind me was also a million. And I just got down by a gosh darn barrel. And then this dude, 91 million. And as you're seeing right here, I keep getting down by barrels. So that's actually a really bad thing about this build, is that the splash damage radius that we get on our secondary stats, when we increase the splash damage radius, it also affects barrels. So because of that, even if we're a good distance away, we'll get destroyed by barrels all the time. So you do got to be really cautious and have good, keen map awareness to be able to run this build. Oh yeah, right there. 1 Mantis Cannon allows us to deal like 100 million with the Guardian Angel very, very easily. But the key thing about the Nova Berner shield that you want to consider is that when you activate action skill end, it drains your shields and then fills it immediately. So the Nova Berner has this amazing effect that is different than any other Nova shield, that it activates the Nova on shield break and fill. So I'm gonna real quick show you. Look at the bottom left of my screen. You'll see the shield bar. It goes all the way down and then goes all the way back up, like really, really quickly. You have to look at it constantly to even see that it like change. It's like super fast that it does it. When we are hitting those Maliwan enemies, you didn't see multiple damage numbers on the enemies because they died immediately. So to allow us to see the multiple damage numbers, the Jack Dummy does a perfect job at just allowing us to constantly hit him without him dying, so we can actually see the multiple numbers. So I'm going to activate it, and did you see that? 3 million. And that crit, which is weird, but 3 million, we got 2 3 millions on it because I activated Nova twice with action skill start. Like I said before, it drains the shield and immediately fills it, so it procs the Nova twice. So that 100 million you're seeing on those Maliwan guys is actually 200 million. As I explained earlier, I'm also using an Elemental Projector, and because of that, we are using a Hazardous Sellout. Now the Hazardous Sellout is a great weapon that allows us to shoot our feet once and immediately put our dots on us. In this case, we want an incendiary dot. So I'm going to put the dot on us, and then I'm going to switch to the Guardian Angel, and notice how the damage increased by 2 times. So the Elemental Projector increases damage by a lot more. So I'm going to play a clip real quick that you probably saw at the beginning of the video, but I'm going to play it again. So I'm going to be fighting Graveward real quick. I'm going to shoot myself on the bottom of the feet. I'm going to drop down, drop my shield, and then just spam my Mantis Cannon, and he dies immediately. I didn't even have to do anything. He died in literally 2 seconds. It was that easy. This build allows you to cap your damage at 275 million per Nova hit, as long as you're using an action skill and grenade to increase your incendiary damage. But assuming you're doing that, the Graveward takes 275 million per Nova, and since the Nova, as said before, procs twice, this does a total of 550 million damage, and that is absolutely crazy, the amount of damage it does. That is not something that I've ever seen anybody do with a Nova Shield, and it's just super awesome. Now, that's all that's left on this video is to decide whether or not this shield is actually a meme or a meta. And it kind of hurts me to say this, but I really do feel like it's a meme build overall. Now, the reason why I feel this way is because a lot of times when I use this build, I will be running around, activating my action skill start, and get down immediately because I got hit by a barrel. Now, as I said before, you can counteract this by having good map awareness, and you could essentially disable this factor. You know, you could spear clear all the barrels around. But if you ever get downed with this build, you can't activate your Novas at all. So because of that, we don't have, since this build requires us to build really weird, we don't have anything that essentially increases our damage by a lot. So our damage is essentially not that great. So I use a plasma coil to kind of eliminate that, but the plasma coil doesn't deal as much damage as it possibly could if I was using another setup for the build. Of course, I can get myself back up very easily if there's no badasses around, but if there's a badass, there's no chance on me to killing any enemies. So that kind of makes this shield still not as good as it should be, despite being able to deal 550 million damage. But if you're looking for like a niche, fun way to play the game, you know, since the game doesn't have any online features, there's no reason to play competitively, you could run this and still kill like everything around you. You just got to be really careful with the barrels around, because you're going to get downed constantly if you're not careful. And that happens to me all the time on the Slaughter Shaft. It's terrible. And if you guys want to try this, there's of course going to be a save file down below, because I really do want you guys to try this. It's an amazing build. It's so fun to play, but it's definitely 100% a meme. And just another huge shout out to SentencedtoBurn. I'm going to put a link to his channel in the comments and description, just like my save file, because he does incredible work for the Borderlands community. He's always so positive with everyone. He is an active member. He constantly comments on a bunch of other people's posts, and he does amazing work for the community by making replicas and a bunch of other stuff. He's like a pro machinery dude. I don't even know what's the proper word for it. He's just so good at machines, and he does deserve a lot more subscribers than he currently has. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even have the idea to optimize this shield and be able to get it to this huge amount of damage. I want to hear some items that you guys want me to optimize next for the next meme or meta video. I'm going to try to make this a series. We're going to look at a lot of the items in Borderlands and just try to increase the damage as much as possible. And I would love to hear what items you would want me to try next. But until then, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye bye.